You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for your successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast. And today I want to talk about social media marketing for dental practices. So I see many dental practices doing many different things. I see young, newer dental practices that are opening their doors for the first time that are allocating thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, into digital marketing from word go to build up their patient base. I completely understand the reasoning behind it. There is a lot of talk around how digital advertising and your greater spend is the quick way of building out your patient base. On the other end of the spectrum, I go into practices that have been in existence for decades and decades, and they have never done any kind of digital advertising, and they have managed to thrive. Certainly, this is the way dental practices traditionally have always succeeded and built up their patient bases from grassroots marketing and advertising. And when I'm talking about grassroots, it's everything but digital in essence. It is doing what you can to get great referrals from existing patients. It's having great signage. It is having a strong awareness in your community that this is where you are and this is what you do. It certainly seems to be a slower development of patient base, but from what I can see, after assessing a lot of dental practices' figures and patient bases, it does seem to result in a far more long-term viable patient base than digital marketing. So I want to get one concept in everyone's minds first, and that is what we talk about at Dental Business Mastery of the three categories of dental patients that every practice has a percentage of within their practices. And they are the perpetuals, loyals, and transients. Now, the transients are in nature, just coming along for urgent care. You may see them once in their dental lifetime. You may see them 2 or 3 times in their dental lifetime, but they're not particularly interested in recalls or seeing the same dentist every time. Whenever they need somebody, they need someone there for them. Then we've got the next category of patient, which are those sort of patients that they only want to see the one dental practice. They only really want to see the one dentist. They're loyals. And the reason I've identified them as loyals is because when I bought my practice from Dr. David Fennick all those many years ago, back in 2003, I contacted everybody in the patient base that had been at the practice for the previous 5 years, notifying them of Dr. Fennick's intentions to leave the practice. Transitioned them to Michelle, and she was such a beautiful, magnificent dentist. The transition was really straightforward and wonderful. And years down the track, as I was still sitting on reception and managing the practice, I would have patients that would ring up that hadn't been to the practice for maybe 7, 8 years. They never got a notification, and they were shocked that David had left, and they were also upset that they weren't notified. And one of them in particular said to me, after I'd explained that we had actually sent letters out to everybody that had been at the practice for the previous 5 years, this patient said to me, "Well, let me tell you, I've never seen another dentist. David was my dentist. I was very, very loyal. I only ever came to see him. And it was a good lesson for me." And so that's the next group. They may not come on a regular basis, these loyal patients, but they'll only ever come to you, and they spend all of their lifetime dental dollars with you, majority, depending on if they move out of the area and things like that, but they spend all of their dental dollars with you. Then we've got the perpetuals. And the perpetuals are just like the loyals, but their difference is that they are the type that come every 6 months or 12 months for their checkups and cleans. They're the ones that get shocked. Oh my God, it's been 7 months since I last got in for my checkup and clean. I need to make sure I book that appointment time. Now, all of the dental practices will have these 3 categories of patients within them. With the transients, you can also say that with current day marketing trends where you say, come along and get a whitening treatment for half price, or come along, we've got a special deal on our checkups and cleans. You can kind of put them in the transient category to a degree, because they're only really coming for that special offer, that special deal right now. They are not the type that will come to you because they want a particular experience or a particular relationship with their dentist. They're coming for that special offer, that special deal. Now, the reason I'm describing these 3 categories of patients is it has been my experience, and it seems pretty obvious to everybody out there as well, that what type of patients would you like to attract to your practice if you want to build a strong, viable business? And it is the perpetuals, ideally, as many perpetual patients as you can find, because these patients come back in every 6 months and spend money with you. Every time they have an urgent appointment time that they need to book in, they book it in with you. Because of their nature, because they hold their oral care in such a way, they want to develop a trusting relationship with their dentist, because they're converting to you. They're going to be visiting you on a regular basis, and they're going to be really handing over and actually having you as their partner in part of their physical health. They won't be the type that after seeing the same dentist for years and years, every 6 months, and developing that kind of close relationship with them, they can be enticed away with a special deal on a checkup and a clean or a whitening process. If they want their whitening done, they will get it done with their loyal dentist, even if they end up having to spend a little bit more, and even if they can't, and even if they have seen adverts for cheaper services somewhere else. To give you an indication of how important that relationship and that trust is when you are attracting long-term patients in your practice, I often share the analogy of a cardiologist. If for whatever reason you needed to have your heart checked, maybe you had developed some chest pains and your GP had said, oh, look, there's some concerns here with your scan, let's get you off to a cardiologist. And you don't know of any cardiologists. And so you decide to do a bit of research on your own, and you go onto the internet and start searching through a few of the websites of cardiologists in your area. And you can imagine how a lot of them would appear. It would possibly have a picture of the cardiologist with all of their credentials and be very professional looking. And they wouldn't have any prices on those websites either. And so you'd be trying to get a bit of a feel of who seems trustworthy, who seems very competent at what they do, who do I want to go to get them to be a partner in this aspect of my health with me. And then you come across a website that has a pop-up screen that says, special deal, half price heart checks. What would that do in terms of attracting or actually repelling you to make a call to that particular practice? We often forget that because of the fact that we're dealing with health, it's a different space. It's not like buying a car or buying clothing or buying the latest vacuum cleaner, where price is actually playing a big role in our decision-making process of who to go to. Health is completely different. Health is all about quality of care. Can I trust this company, this practice, this practitioner to put my health first? And the minute money comes into it in terms of a special offering, what is that saying? I know that sometimes we can be left with the thought that there's a special offering, but if people don't want to take us up on the offering, that's no big deal. It's not actually doing anything damaging. Well, I think it actually is. And this is my thought with some of these marketing tactics, that they certainly might bring numbers in to your practice, but are they bringing transients in? And if they're bringing transients in, then you need to keep doing more and more marketing, because these patients aren't hanging around for a long time. They're not going to be back every 6 months. They'll come in the one time and then they'll be kind of put into the system where you're recalling them and trying to get them back for incomplete treatment and doing all the things to try to convert them into a returning patient where it was actually never going to be their nature anyway. But I think some of these marketing efforts, actually, the patients that we do want, the perpetual patients, they look at these marketing messages and it actually repels them. So even if they liked the look of your practice in terms of the post you put on social media, the sign that you've got out the front, they jump on some of these messages that you're putting out digitally, and they're like, oh, now I don't know anymore. Now I don't know if they're the right one for me, because the minute that the special financial offer was brought into play, it started to push trust out a little bit. I think it serves us very, very well because of the amount of time, energy, and money it saps out of us on how we market our practices. It serves us very, very well to really have a think about what are we trying to achieve here. I have absolutely been in practices that proudly state to me, we get 80 new patients a month. There's one practice in my mind a number of years ago. It was a great example. We get 80 new patients a month. How successful is our marketing? It's just fantastic. That's great, I say. Now, what's the reason you called me in as a consultant? The reason is none of our pre-booked 6 monthly checkups ever turn up to their appointment times. And so looking deeper into it, they get these 80 new patients a month. One of the processes and systems of the practice is nobody leaves without another appointment time. And so these patients, they say, let's book you in 6 months' time. Don't worry, we'll call you a week beforehand, make sure it still suits, but let's get you in the system. And so they do that, but then they've created so much work for themselves in 6 months' time because these patients were never actually perpetual patients. They were just coming for the special deals on the cheaper checkup and clean. And so now we've got all this time, energy, money going into trying to force them to turn up to these appointment times where it was never actually within their nature. And so is that marketing? Are those 80 new patients a month, that figure, is it actually a success story? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm always far more impressed when I go into practices that have been around for decades and they don't have any special offerings in discounted deals. And they've got the new patient figure of 10 new patients a month. Yet those 10 new patients are perpetual patients in nature. And so they do turn up to their 6 monthly appointment time without much trouble. And the 6 months after that, and the 6 month after that. And they have converted all of their dental dollar spend, which is high because they're regular attenders, with your practice instead of somebody else's practice. And so if we come from the perspective of, because every dental practice is different, if you are a highly cosmetic practice, you are going to have a whole bunch of essence, transient patients, patients that just come for the cosmetics, and then once that's done, they're off. They've done their bit with your practice. And so that's where some of these marketing methods is actually the right way to go, the right strategy to have. But when we're talking about dental practices that are trying to build long-term viability, offering general dental services to the community, then perpetual patients are the way to go. We always see all patients. We're available to everybody. But when we start to recognise, and this is a calculation that I've done with dental practice clients for many, many years, and we always encourage the team members themselves of the practices that we work with to come up with these figures, because then they can have faith and believe in those figures. And what the figure is calculating the lifetime value of a patient. A lot of practices out there may have already done this. It's a wonderful exercise. When you look at a transient patient, and they may come once or twice over the years, and what their dollar spend would be, as opposed to a perpetual dental patient that comes back every 6 months. Their loyalty to the practice could be 8 years, 10 years, 15 years. They get all of their urgent care done with you guys, and anything optional, such as tooth whitening, veneers, they get all that done with you guys as well. And usually these are the ones, because it is in a perpetual patient's nature to trust their practitioner, otherwise they wouldn't be coming to see you. And from that trust, they build a great relationship. They get to know the team beautifully. They enjoy their visits. They enjoy the dental experience that you provide to them. And then they talk about you to other friends, family. And nowadays, you jump online to your local community Facebook group, type in the word dentist in their search engine, and find out how often someone will jump on saying, I've just moved into the area, who's a great dentist? The question comes up routinely, and there's always the same one or two practices that people are recommending. This is one of the most powerful things, I think, that is available to us as dental practices in terms of trying to appeal to these perpetual patients. Because your perpetual patients, the perpetual patients that are out there in the community, they are already being perpetual with one particular dental practice. They're not out there scrolling through websites going, oh, I wonder what other dental practices offer. No, they're completely satisfied to whatever degree with their current dentist. And so my thought is, with our approach to marketing, if you are the kind of dental practice that is going to build its reputation and services that you provide around offering general family dental care out there to the community, then it is perpetual patients that will help build your strong, viable business. How do we attract perpetual patients? Special offers, discounted deals, not necessarily the way to go, because trust is more important to them than price, and discounted prices may be repelling them. To have pop-ups on your website, that's only valuable if they're actually visiting your website, but they're not. They're already being perpetual with another practice. They're not out there searching. So how do we get in front of their faces and say, this is the kind of patient experience that we offer? Because it will be about offering something that's just a little bit better than what they're experiencing at the moment, or something changes in their current situation and now their expected level of service has dropped for whatever reason. Maybe the practice is sold, maybe they're starting to see a new practitioner, maybe. And how do we get those messages across when they're not actually researching other dental practices themselves? And this is where one of those ways is through the Facebook community groups. Make sure your name is the one that's being mentioned all the time, because even if they're quite satisfied where they're going right now, they'll see your name pop up consistently. And at some point they might be curious. Depending on the messages that these patients are telling the group about you, they might start being intrigued about, maybe I should be trying these guys out, because they seem to be hitting all of the trust, relationship, comfortable patient experience, wonderful systems, wonderful team, all the things that I find important. Other ways to get in front of patients is wonderful frontage of your practice. Is the landscaping beautiful? Is the signage classy and communicating the right message? Is the building well kept and maintained? What about your signage when you start sponsoring local sporting groups? I still remember sitting there watching my nephew play basketball one evening, and I'm sitting there in the stands just gazing upon an orthodontic practice's huge sign. And I thought, what effective signage is that? We are sitting here. The people that will be sitting here watching this basketball game, they will have kids going through the stages where they need ortho. And that's the place you'd end up going. That's the one that's top of mind. How about having a stand at local community fetes and markets? How about supporting the local community fundraiser, feeding the poor, providing wonderful services to the local community? This is where you start getting a strong community awareness and building value in your community. So this is part of your reputation in the community. A lot of digital marketing, you think about the time it takes, the energy, trying to figure it all out. What does a good strategy look like? You think of the thousands of dollars that people are spending every single month. And if it's without proper strategy, and if it is more haphazard in nature, then is it actually damaging your reputation rather than improving it or building it out? That's the last thing we want to do, is to be actually repelling the very patients that are going to make us long-term strong. And after spending all this time, energy, money, possibly doing it well, possibly not doing it as well, yet we haven't made sure that another key couple of areas that we're all over them, then we are going to be letting ourselves down. When these patients call the practice, is the receptionist bubbly, mature, efficient, professional, rapport building, really capable of converting these patients and building value in the practice so they can't wait to book in that first appointment time? And once that patient turns up, what are your systems like? What are the rest of the team like? Are you providing a patient experience where these perpetual patients go, this is the place for me, I've found my forever dentist? Or is it same old, same old? They get the same experience at their other practice that they've been seeing for the past few years, so might as well just keep going back there. I thought it might be different here. We must make sure our receptionists, that we're choosing receptionists based upon their excellent communication and patient building skills. We must be providing adequate training for our dental teams to make sure we've got patient-friendly systems and our team members are helping patients feel that they have chosen the right dental practice for them consistently all the time. One of the issues that I have with huge spends on digital marketing is the return on investment. How clear is that? Sometimes they'll say, oh, look how many clicks you got. Look how many likes you got. That's success. But does it convert to bringing patients into the actual appointment book? That's the figure I'd be interested in. So it can be quite vague, and it can be a whole lot of crossing their fingers and hoping this works. We've got to get the fundamentals right. We've got to get that patient experience consistently better than the other practices around you. And it doesn't have to be 80% better. It just needs to be 5-10% better. We've got to hire the right people. We've got to recognise who we want to try to attract into the practice. And if it is the perpetuals, if that's the strategy that you would like to implement, what are perpetual types of patients experiencing right now at their existing practices? How can we get in front of their eyes when they're not searching for a new dental practice? And what kind of experience can we provide them which will convert them over? How do we communicate that to them? Social media is different from SEO, of course, and different from Google AdWords and all the things. But so I do agree that some sort of spend has to be on SEO. Maybe Google AdWords, maybe not. It seems like there is so much competition out there. It's very difficult to stand out from a digital crowd of dental practices. And if you are standing out, what's the messaging and who are you standing out to? May not always be your ideal patient base. But social media, we're seeing all these dental practices spending time and energy posting on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, making videos, trying to entice dental team members to participate when they may not want their face out there. It's a distraction. It can be an enormous distraction. And I just wonder, I query the value of it. I certainly think there is a place for it. I certainly think that when, for example, in a Facebook group, your name keeps getting mentioned and tagged in those posts, we want them to be able, potential patients, to be able to click on that post tag, go to your Facebook page and see what they would like to see what would impress them. And so you need to be seen as a professional outfit that can be highly trusted, and everyone that works here cares for you, wants you to have a great experience here at this practice. Have some before and after photos, absolutely. Talk about, I remember one time listening to a podcast episode of a podiatrist talking about some of their most successful posts. And it was simple things like, this person had a funny looking nail, and so this is how we affected it. And now it's not a funny looking nail anymore. And when you think about those sort of small little incidences that might be going on in patients' minds that they think, oh, I just have to live with that. They don't really question it too much. And they look at a post like that and they think, oh, I can go along to my podiatrist and get that little thing that annoys me fixed, that won't annoy me anymore. How many situations are small in nature but are meaningful to the patients from a dental perspective? So that little chip on my tooth that always annoys me, that I see every time I see photos of myself where I'm smiling, that little bit of staining, those teeth that are crossed over. Doesn't have to always be about full mouth rehabs in cosmetic cases. What about much smaller things to bring patients in? Posts that include how up-to-date you are on CPR and infection control and team training. New things that we've brought in Afterpay or Zip Pay as a payment option in our practice. A post about that. I think that posts need to be regular enough. I don't think 3 a day needs to be the case. Maybe a post or 2 a week is okay. to get these sort of key messages out. And also the other value that your social pages have is it's another opportunity for potential new employees to research you. Is this a practice that I actually want to work for? I always question when I am moving through the recruitment process for a client, did you actually search the practice online? And one always holds true in my head. And they said, yeah, because I research all the practices that I've been applying for online, and yours was the one that seemed to be most team friendly, just through their posts. And that's got value, big time value, when you're trying to appeal to particular personality and character types to come and work for your team. So there's definitely a space for it. Would I spend thousands of dollars on social media marketing for a dental practice when you think about all the things that I've mentioned today? I wouldn't. Unless you were a highly cosmetic practice or smile makeover, all on 4, those sort of practices. When you're a family practice, I wouldn't. I've seen too much evidence of the lack of need to do that. Would I throw all of my marketing and energy behind grassroots advertising? Absolutely, I would. Behind team training, making sure that we're building out a process of a great patient experience? Absolutely, I would. Would I still have a presence online? Yeah, I absolutely would do that too. I just wouldn't be spending thousands on it. Well, they're my thoughts that I've been having over the last couple of years around the importance of social media and how much time, energy, money, and distraction to actually spend on it. Certainly look into grassroots methods of advertising. If you have any questions, please always reach out to dentalbusinessmastery.com.au and go to the website. Our phone numbers are there. You can reach out and have a chat anytime. We would be delighted to have a conversation with you about anything. Until next time. If you enjoyed this podcast, then I encourage you to head over to Amina and my website, dentalbusinessmastery.com.au. You will find all the information that you need if you would like to gain our assistance in helping you and your team achieve great success. If you would like to find out more, you can also email us directly at info@dentalbusinessmastery.com.au. Thanks so much for listening.